All right, cool. So we have this article on Black Panther put out by thedirect.com. I'm hoping to be able to edit it in so you guys will be able to see this article, but we'll see. Anyways, it says Marvel Studios' final film of 2022 and Phase 4 is the MCU's long-awaited sequel to the 2018 box office hit Black Panther Wakanda Forever, starring, I meant to look these names up. So if I botch them, I'm so sorry. I think it's Letitia Wright, Denia Guerrier, and Winston Duke in Black Panther 2 will show T'Challa's family and allies struggle to defend Wakanda and chart a new path in the wake of the hero's death. This particular plot is unique in that it mirrors what the actual cast and crew went through. But here's the issue that we wanted to talk about is in the French magazine Le Film Français via Okasapi, Disney is considering canceling the Black Panther Wakanda Forever's theatrical release in France. And this is due to a French law requiring that theatrical releases wait 17 months before releasing on a subscription-based streaming platform. So what's actually going on there, I'm not going to read the whole article, but I will have it linked in the description. So what's going on is that none of Marvel's Phase 4 movies have been released on streaming services in France yet. Because they've been released in the theater, they still have to wait. It hasn't gotten past that 17-month mark yet for even the first one, because that is a year and a half of time. And Black Widow, I think, was the first one of the Phase 4, and hasn't been 17 months since it came out yet. So that's not even on the streaming service yet. So they're thinking about just skipping the theatrical release because realistically, France isn't that big of a market. And just putting it straight on the streaming service. Yeah.
I feel bad. I mean, I was unaware France even had this 17-month theatrical window, honestly. It's literally the first time I've heard of this. I don't know how I missed that.
It's interesting to me because that's completely different than the way we run things here in the States, because the studios always run themselves. Like there's laws governing this stuff, but not laws like that extreme. And that's because back in the 30s, when they started like having issues with the Hays Code and stuff, the studios got really big on regulating themselves. So whenever they felt like legislation or stuff was going to come down on them, they got ahead of it and they did something to prevent these types of laws coming in and forcing them to act in a certain way. That's how we ended up with the rating system we have now with the G, PG, PG-13, and R, because they regulate themselves. That's not something the government put on them. So I just found it interesting that France has this law in the books that's affecting the way they do their business. Because here in the States, that's an insanely long time. 17 months?
Yeah.
That's almost a year and a half. We have people are freaking out right now because Top Gun Maverick isn't streaming yet. You know? And it looks like that's not going to stream until... It's been out since your bachelor party back in early June.
Opened up. That was that was beginning of June. It opened in late May, I want to say, like the last week of May.
I think it was Memorial Day weekend. So it opened up then, and people are freaking out that it's not already streaming because it's been typically 45 to 90 days is what the window has been lately, ever since COVID hit. And this is going on, 4 or 5 months at this point, and it looks like it may not even stream in November when the DVD comes out. They may push it back to December. So,
I mean, it's doing so well in theaters. It's like,
and that's the thing. It's doing so well in theaters, and that's why they keep pushing it off. Because why not?
My brother has literally
well on the sales.
Yeah, my brother Daniel has literally seen it. I can't remember, either 4 or 5 times in the theater. I've only seen it twice. Okay, I've seen it twice in the theaters.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
I'm one of these people looking for the streaming.
Right. Yeah, I will say definitely worth the big screen. It's one of those movies. It's just it was fantastic in the theater. Oh man, I'm so glad it didn't go direct to streaming because it would have. And I read that Tom Cruise, because he's such a big star and a big producer on the movie, he rejected several studio offers for them to put it on their streaming services. He got several offers. They wanted to put it on their streaming services, and he said no to every single one because he pushed so hard. He wanted it to be in the theater.
Yeah, because this movie was supposed to come out a couple of years ago too. I think that movie was supposed to come out in 2020, and then it got pushed back because of the pandemic.
Right. Yeah, it was filmed. I will say I think it was filmed in 2019. Honestly, so it was filmed a couple years ago, and it's just now getting out there. But I'm definitely glad. I think they made the right decision not releasing it, in 2020 because Nolan did that with Tenet, and that did not turn out very well. This movie definitely benefited from waiting, and I think right now it's around 1.4 billion, which is really, really good for the pandemic era.
I read 1.5 billion today. Actually,
okay.
the other article we're going to discuss, it says 1.5.
Gotcha. That tops Spider-Man: No Way Home, right? I feel like Spider-Man only made a little bit past $1 billion.
Yeah, I think Top Gun is now number 3.
Okay. Wait, number 3
of all time. I think it beat Avatar. Didn't it beat Avatar?
No way. Avatar's number 1.
Avatar got taken down. Avatar's not number 1.
Okay, you mean domestically, not like worldwide. Worldwide, Avatar has like 2.7 billion.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I know domestically it took down Titanic for sure. But speaking of which, Avatar is getting re-released again in theaters this weekend. Today. So today, just to assure it's get people hyped up for Avatar 2, which actually we're going to discuss here in a second.
Yeah,
but also
let's hold on to that conversation and keep talking about the Black Panther here. Because so what do you think this does to the streaming versus film? Because now they're fighting against each other rather than working together to make a seamless process. I really feel like this law just makes no sense at all.
No, it's way too long. Even someone like me, who is such a huge fan of believing in the theatrical window and the theatrical experience, not going straight to streaming or having only a 30 or 90 day window. 17 months that's just too long. That's just insane to me.
Yeah, I guess apparently they put stuff on TV too, so that's
okay. So that's definitely a factor in it.
So yeah, because they have to have time to. So it's theater there, and then time for TV, and then time for streaming. So yeah, you got a lot of things competing against each other there. Whereas here, TV usually comes like years after video and streaming.
Yeah.
Unless you count.
And Disney's, and Disney's definitely one who, they started out with, I forget, was it Black Widow was the first one they put? No, I guess it was Mulan. They put direct to streaming same day as theaters, and that was a huge deal when that happened. But I know Pixar, it says in the article itself, Pixar is kind of ticked off at Disney as well right now because they're not giving. That they released, I forget what the latest Pixar movie was. Honestly, recently I've been losing track of Pixar movies because they've been, in my opinion, a little subpar recently. But the last Pixar movie went straight to streaming, and Pixar was not happy about that.
It's been multiple Pixar movies actually. Pixar hasn't had. Onward was the last one that went into theaters.
Oh,
that
wow!
Was at the very beginning of the pandemic,
March of 2020. That was the last movie I saw in theaters before the pandemic. Wow,
yeah,
I didn't realize it was that long.
One. So they had, so Pixar had Soul, Luca, and Turning Red all go straight to streaming. See, and then they had Lightyear, which did terrible in the theater.
Oh yeah, I didn't see it. I heard it was bad.
They've been hurt by that. I don't. Well, Yeah, Lightyear was bad. I didn't like Lightyear. I didn't like it because it didn't make sense for what they claimed it was.
Yeah.
But moving on to that.
Right.
So Pixar hasn't had a decent theatrical release since 2020, and that movie, Onward, wasn't a decent theatrical release. The movies were great, though. Soul, Luca, and Turning Red, in my opinion, are all very strong Pixar films. Lightyear's a little on the weekend, but they did they were great stories. They didn't get their due time in the theater because of the situation.
I just feel like when they release direct to streaming, like I just don't see much advertising for these movies that go straight to streaming. Like if a movie comes out in theaters, I feel like one way or another, I'm seeing a commercial or an ad for it, but like I saw next to zero advertising for Soul or for Luca or that third one you mentioned. I already forgot the name of it.
Yeah. Turning Red. But yeah, they don't get the advertisement because it's only Disney streaming service. They get advertised along with the streaming service. Right. So if you see a commercial for Disney Plus, then you'll see them in with other movies advertised for that, but you won't see them on their own. Right. But they are advertised heavily within, like whenever it hits, because we have Disney Plus. Whenever it hits, the kids are like, "Hey, what's that? Hey, what's that?" They want to see what the new stuff is. So it definitely, like, you see it pops up on the homepage showing you, hey, this is what's here. This is the new thing. Check it out. So we've seen them. I've seen them all over and over and over again.
Okay. I guess I don't spend that much time on Disney Plus these days.
Well,
I have a subscription.
3 kids.
That'll do it. Yeah.
That'll do it. Pretty much open it up and go, which Disney movie are you going to watch today?
Right.
So besides that, do you think this is going to really hurt Black Panther at all?
Honestly, not. I don't think a ton. I mean, France isn't, it's not China as far as box office goes. But obviously it's a big country, but they're not a huge market. I think Disney's going to be just fine if they skip France. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. I think it'll do enough domestically and in other markets that it'll be just fine.
And who do you think is the next Black Panther?
Oh man, I don't even know. But that's the other thing. I think people will just go to see this movie because with Chadwick Boseman's death, that sets out a whole people want to see who is the next Black Panther, how they're going to handle his death, and all of that. So just on that front alone, I think it's going to make a good bit of money, a lot of money.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely it's one of the few I've actually cared to see. Like, I didn't care to see Multiverse of Madness. I didn't care about Thor, Love and Thunder, even though, like, I loved Thor Ragnarok. Love and Thunder just seemed like it was trying too hard to copy what Ragnarok did, so it didn't really intrigue me. Although I have watched, I'm trying to catch up on the Phase 4 now.
Okay.
And it's actually been better than I expected. Multiverse of Madness, I do not agree with you at all. We've had our exchange on that.
Yes,
I was pleasantly surprised with Eternals. I didn't think it was as terrible as everyone made it out to be.
All right.
I was emotionally invested in a couple of the characters, not all of them. The other thing that really hit me on that was the surprise at the end. Like, I figured there was going to be a traitor, but it wasn't who I expected, and that, so yeah, I like being surprised in movies. It's hard to do that to me. So when you do it and pull it off, especially with a movie that's been out for a year,
right,
it's good.
You remember it.
I was like, okay. So to me, that was pretty solid. I haven't seen Black Widow yet. That's the last one I need to see.
Yeah, but you liked. We both agree we liked Shang-Chi. That's honestly, I think, the strongest that they've put out. Yeah,
Shang-Chi was very strong. I think that and Spider-Man are definitely the strongest ones they've put out. Shang-Chi might even be stronger than Spider-Man.